Whoa. If you're thinking about quitting crypto, watch this video. I have been through many crypto crashes. We are not even near the end of the market. And if you stick through this entire video, you're going to see how you can make a shitload of money, how you're going to get generational buy opportunities, and why right now is the best and most important time to stay in the market and pay attention. Let's get right into this video. Like, subscribe, and thanks for watching. All right, obviously, markets are not looking good right now. We don't need to get into super technical analysis here, but Bitcoin is right around the $85,000 mark. Ethereum, $2,300. Solana, $137, which is fucking crazy. Now, something I want to say is that I've been through many crashes, and this is actually very normal. If we just quickly look at the Bitcoin chart, we can see how many crashes before we hit all-time highs. One crash, not as bad as this, obviously, but still 106,000 down to 94,000. If we zoom out, we can see massive crash right here. This was back in 2021. This was one of the worst crashes I had ever seen, right? We're at 60 grand. We get chopped in half, 50% drawdown here, right? So don't think just because we're seeing not even this like 30% dip on Bitcoin right now that we've seen anything, because this reversal was one of the most insane reversals. And it just shows you that literally anything can happen and that no dip is a definitive bear market. And also don't forget that Trump, as a president of the United States, values himself based on how well the stock market and crypto market does. It does not make sense, at least in my opinion, for Trump to come into office, put all these new legislations in place, create the Bitcoin stockpile reserve, and then to absolutely send the market into a bear market. It really doesn't make any sense to me. I think this is a normal cleanse. Anyways, we're going to go through what prices I want to buy at later in this video, but we're just going to cover some other things that I think are important. Okay, obviously, the markets are dumping due to being just a shitload of over leverage in the market. And now essentially what I'm saying is everything is being oversold. We had a lot of crashes and uncertainty around the tariffs. A lot of that has now been resolved, which is good because it makes the market a lot more steady. However, we can just see that there is a lot of people that have lost hope in the market. And that is what's drawing to this depressionary state that we see all across Twitter. Everyone loves crypto because it has a hopium that you can change your life with one coin. That is what I've always said. That is what I continue to believe, whether other people believe it or not, because it genuinely happened to me. And I know how powerful crypto can be. Now, in order to get outsized returns, you also have to be willing to take outsized losses, right? We were looking for asymmetric upside bets. Number one, you can obviously be wrong in your bets, but also you have to understand that in order to get these tax returns, you have to be willing to take on 60, 70, 80% downside. And that's part of the game. Listen, I still think we're in a sideways market until proven otherwise. I think this is a normal dip. And I don't think it's that unheard of to see a 30, 40% drop in Bitcoin and then to reverse and go to all-time highs. And that's what I'm expecting here. Keep in mind, there's a lot of good news that can come for crypto still, being Solana ETF, XRP ETF, potentially no taxes on USA-based cryptos. And right now is a good time to start nibbling into positions. Now, do I think it can go lower? Yes. Do I think now is a good time to technically start DCAing into certain positions that we'll cover later in the video? Yes. Something to keep in mind also in this market is there's not going to be a total altcoin like there was before. Back in 2017, even 2021, we saw a genuine altcoin season because all you had to do was go and buy coins through Binance listings. There was not as much dilution as we see now on Pump because you could not just create a token out of thin air or get millions of eyeballs and then the token would pump. You'd have to go get the coin listed on Binance or another exchange. Then the users were already on Binance and then people would come and flock to the listings, and they still do on Binance. There's so much dilution. There's literally tens of thousands of coins being made every single day. And so all that money is being sucked out of the crypto ecosystem. And so there's not as much money flowing into traditional alts. And that's why really we're not having this kind of alt season that we are so normally conditioned to expect, where everything goes up and then you can just sell all at once. And that's just honestly not going to happen anymore. So if that's what you're expecting, you got to readjust your mentality and learn how the new game is being played. Obviously, a lot of money has left the ecosystem. The trenches are in absolute fucking shambles right now. They're barely even a thing. The amount of tokens that are even graduating to Raydium is nearly zero right now. And that's because obviously every single time there's a big launch, money is extracted from the ecosystem, being Trump, Melania, right? The Africa coin, Jailstool, Argentina, maybe Kanye launches a coin, etc. What happens when all of these people launch coins? They take the money, they convert it into USDC and Solana, and then they exit the market and they go buy stupid shit. Houses, cars, boats, jets, etc. These are not people that are going to leave this money in crypto, and so that money is extracted from the ecosystem. Now, the ways that you can still make money if you're playing in the trenches or even just in crypto, and the way that we've hit many good trades in our Discord in the past, and even more recently, is you have to spot trends early and capitalize on them. So even right now in the trenches, a very big kind of, I don't want to say Ponzi scam, but a big narrative right now that's making a lot of people money is this infinite money glitch narrative, where you basically hold a coin, then you get Solana and USDT back for holding the coin. And people like this because they're getting rewards basically every 5 minutes. Now, this is obviously a fucking stupid coin. It's a scam. At the end of the day, when everyone pulls their money out of this coin, it's going to go to zero. People are only getting rewards because there's a lot of volume, there's a lot of holders, and then they're distributing the tax, right? You get taxed 5% or whatever it is. They use a tax and then they give the tax to the holders. And so that's how this whole scam works. And it's actually really smart. Not from like a scamming perspective, but it's actually really smart to get people engaged. And if enough people come, then the Ponzi continues to go on, which is fine. You can still buy this type of stuff and make a lot of money, but just don't hold on to it too long. Make your money and get out. But I do think this narrative is going to continue for a pretty long time. So spot trends early and then capitalize on them and exit quickly, right? Cycle has accelerated dramatically in this sense. And that means that you can no longer buy coins, hold for months or years, and then expect to exit. You really want to buy coins, wait a few weeks to a month, and then at most, even sometimes days, hours, right? Some of these plays are really fast. So you can't just expect to hold coins for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month, 2 months, and then try and sell all your coins and then get out, right? Basically, in the future, there's going to be brief, intense bursts of outperformance where certain categories, gaming, AI, whatever it is, there's just periods of outperformance, and then it will return to its baseline state. And we already saw that with AI earlier, and we're probably going to see that with AI in the future again. When you see periods of outperformance, like we saw in memes, like you better take fucking profit during those periods of outperformance because things go down literally 90%. So one of my biggest positions that I'm holding right now is going to be cash, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Render, Hype, and then I did sell the AVAX that I used to hold, although I do still like AVAX, and we'll get into that in a second. So a lot of people don't exactly know what Hyperliquid is. So I faded Hyperliquid at $4. I bought back in $20 during our first buy signal. The chart remains honestly really good. It is breaking down a tiny bit, but comparatively to fucking anything else in the market, it has performed significantly better. This was after the airdrops where people made hundreds of thousands of dollars from just using the Hyperliquid platform to trade on. And it's basically just ranged, like it obviously peaked here, but it's literally just ranged around $20 to $25. It did break down a bit, but then bounced back up to $20. And so this is a good range to start nibbling in. And if this got down to the teens, I would be buying a large bag at 13, 14, 15, anything in that range. And so that's what I'm waiting for over there. But it is basically to me like an on-chain Binance. They just launched their layer 1. They have hundreds of thousands of users. They have a lot of mind share. The founders are already rich. They have experience building other products in the past. Honestly, this is one of those coins where the risk to reward is asymmetric. You buy at 15 to 20 in my opinion. And this is a coin that I'm not going to say it can go to 100, but I think it can be a very nice trade up into the 40s to 60s, like a nice clean 2 to 3x with size, which is amazing for not a ton of downside from here, in my opinion. They also have a constant flow of capital to buy the coin. So they have around $500 to $600 million in revenue per year. And that goes back to buy the coins. So we already covered this, but essentially it's actually more like 75% cash. And then the rest is spread out here. And that's because I sold a lot of Solana and stuff like that around $200 going forward. So what am I doing to make money right now, and what can you do to make money right now? That's what we're going to get into. So you're going to wait for good prices on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Render. Some of these prices I'm looking for, we'll just get into this quickly, is going to be, I don't even mind 85, but I really don't want to buy Bitcoin here. I would love to buy Bitcoin at 75,000. That would be an amazing price to start DCAing for me. I would love to buy Ethereum at $2,000. You can again start DCAing at $2,300. Like, it's still relatively cheap, especially if you have a long-term outlook and you're willing to hold it for a long time. But I would like to get this around anywhere between $1,800 and $2,000. I would love to buy Solana at $100. Some of my first buys were at 50. And so then I bought again at 100, and then I bought again in August on the crash at, I think it was like 115 or 130. And so if you can buy in again at $100, that would be amazing. Stuff like Render, even like if you can get a bag of Render, which you might not see it at $2, for example, that in my opinion is a no-brainer, because you got to think about it. $152 would put you here, and then that you can grab like at least a 6x going back to all-time highs, which is honestly, in my opinion, very much possible. So that's how you can find asymmetric bets and just things to look for. And you'll be able to even buy things like Jupiter down at like 50 cents, which would be 40 cents, which would be honestly really, really epic. And guys, the people that have made the most money are the ones that are willing to buy on this extreme fear. Like, you got to be willing to buy on this extreme fear. And maybe the market doesn't look as bad to me, because I remember when Bitcoin was at literally 18,000, 25,000 back when I was in university. And so maybe this doesn't look that bad to me. But I remember when we hit $85,000 in the past, people were screaming and shouting, this was insane. This was the best thing in the world. And now it's at $85,000 and we're at basically an extreme fear. So it's really just making higher lows essentially. And at one point, I mean, it's going to be $1 million per coin. So you just gotta don't worry so much in days. I understand everyone wants to make money right now, but try and think of also like multiple years and decades, because Bitcoin is essentially like a savings account. You don't want to hold it through 50% dips, but at the end of the day, you can sleep well at night knowing that it's probably going to go back up. Moving on, what I do right now is I also start farming Abstract. So Abstract is a layer 2 built on top of Ethereum. It's built by Luca Netz, who is owner or founder of Pudgy Penguins, which was obviously like an NFT that went insane. It's the same team that built Pengu. Now, obviously the Pengu token is doing fucking horrible, but I think that was honestly just a way for him to make, like, just get his bag. And I think Abstract is going to be the actual layer 2 that makes everyone a shitload of money. There's just a lot of dilutions with this airdrop and shitcoin overall. Abstract aims to be a consumer blockchain that allows users to engage with crypto without even realizing that they're using crypto. Luca wants to make top streamers on Abstract millions of dollars per year. I personally expect Abstract to be one of the best chains in the next 12 to 24 months. I'm investing in ICOs on Abstract. I'm trying to connect with teams and founders on Abstract. I'm trying to get approved to stream on Abstract. I'm trying to farm XP on Abstract. I'm buying memes on Abstract. Forward looking to what the future will be in the next 12 to 24 months. And that is something that you guys should focus on as well, especially if any of you guys make content. I think it's an easy way to make a lot of money, and the airdrop could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. Going forward, this is a really good tweet by Game, right? So this is why I said you don't want to just full port things automatically, right? During down moves, what looks like relative strength can just be slow bleeding, right? If a chart's grinding down, it's usually holders losing patience, not a sign of strength, right? Be careful bidding bounces, right? So in a downtrend, you can bid bounces, and then the chart just starts to go lower. So it goes something like this, and then it will come down, right? And it will bounce and then come down. And so that's why I say you want to nibble in, but wait for the real prices that you're looking for. And if you really want to just get into the market, then you can DCA into Bitcoin if you just want to get the itch out of your system. So how to cut losers, right? Try and determine if most of the downside is finished or there's more to go. The way I see it is there's no absolutes, guys, right? It's probabilities of, could this happen? Yes or no. Could this happen? Yes or no, right? Can we go lower? Yes. Will we go lower? Potentially, right? I think so. So I say, okay, well, what's the worst case that would probably happen here? Black and white is if we look at the last market, when we had a 50% drop in Bitcoin, right? In 2021, like give or take, right? 60K and then down to 31,000. So 50%. We were at 108, or let's just say 108, right? So we'd be at about, worst case scenario, 55, right? 55K Bitcoin. That would be, we've already done 30%. There would be another 20% move. I don't think it's going to be as aggressive as a drop this cycle, if it even gets there, because is so much institutional buy pressure and also ETF flows. So I don't think it's going to move as erratically, but let's just say worst case scenario, we had to get to this 55K region, but I don't think it will. So I'll use 65 as a more like realistic probable cause. that would put everything else, in my opinion, like maximum worst case scenario, 40 to 50% lower from here, right? So Ethereum at this pace, 1200, 1500, right? Like I don't think Ethereum's going to drop 50% lower from here, but worst case scenario, like this is if we go into the bear market. We're talking about it. We go into the bear market, $1,200, $1,500 Ethereum, right? Like my point is we're not that far away that you're trying to take asymmetric bets. Like maybe we go into a bear market and we don't bounce here. I think we're going to, but let's just say I'm wrong and we don't bounce, right? And this is the start of the bear market. Cool. Ethereum goes to $1,500, let's say. If I'm right and we do bounce, Ethereum goes to $10,000 in the next 2 years. 50% downside, 5x upside. Right? If Solana goes down 50%, it goes down, let's just say to $70. That's one probability. The other probability is that Solana gets an ETF. We go into an ultra bull market that lasts into 2026. Solana goes to $500, $600, $800 with an ETF. I'm not saying we will, but I'm saying these are probabilities. So 50% downside, potentially 5, 7, 8x upside, right? So this is what you also have to look at, right? You're trying to look for outsized returns in asymmetric bets, right? And so that's what I'm trying to focus on here as well. Okay. Now, if you want to get out of coins because you think the market's over and you think we're going way lower, then you can hold and sell into relief bounces, or you can just straight swap into USDC or USDT. Well, I don't really recommend it when you're already down 70%. The problem is the only time people want to cut their losses and sell to buy back lower is when they're feeling so much pain that the market is already in extreme greed. And so by the time you want to sell lower, it's like, so does everybody else. You're selling at the most psychological pain point because everyone else feels the pain too. And you wouldn't be trying to sell to buy back lower if you didn't feel like the market was going to end, and everybody feels that way, right? So do what you want, but just be aware of that, right? Now, you can also go through every single coin in your portfolio and say, would I buy these coins at these prices, right? If the answer is no, maybe you shouldn't hold them, or maybe you should sell them, right? It's just something to consider. Play the game, right? Bid core positions, Bitcoin, ETH, SOL, HYPE. Aim for 2 to 5x returns. If you want to bid riskier assets, being altcoins, you need to get at least basically 5x upside from here to make it make sense. The reason I say this is because if you look at Bitcoin, it was at $100,000. It's at 80, give or take. Let's just say it's taken a 20% drop. That's really not that bad, but altcoins have been slaughtered 70, 80%. So if you're going to bid riskier assets like altcoins, you need to be bidding them to get asymmetric returns. And so if you can get a 2 to 4x holding Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, HYPE, if you're going to bid any of these other altcoins, you better be able to get at least like a 5 to 10x return from bear market lows at minimum, because otherwise you might as well have to go and bid Bitcoin, Sol, ETH, HYPE and get your clean 2-3x and reduce the amount of downside pressure that you're going to take. And so this is another important quote that I believe that Game said as well, right? There's 3 ingredients for success: aggressiveness, timing, and skill. And if you have enough aggressiveness at the right time, you don't need that much skill. So what this essentially means is there is easy modes and hard modes in the market. For example, last November, December, when memes were going insane, you could be pretty retarded, buy things late and kind of full send on memes, and you would have done really well as long as you took profits, right? Then that happened. The same thing happened with AI. You could have been pretty dumb, top lasted a lot of things. And as long as you took profits, you would have done well. The problem is with that is that because this took no skill, number one, you probably would have sold. But also the problem is that there was no system. You just kind of guessed and gambled and potentially made a lot of money. And so that gives you a bad strategy. And that is also potentially the reason that you could be down a lot of money right now. One of the only positions that I'm holding right now as well, I never got paid to talk about this, but it's Billy Bets. It's basically an AI agent that is built on Virtuals that's now on Solana. And it essentially is an agent that allows you to find edges in the sports betting market. And so the way that you bet on Billy Bets AI, you could say, is through buying Billy's coin, and then Billy trades. It has $100,000 that it trades with. It goes and it picks on different sporting events, mainly basketball, I believe. And then when it wins, it uses part of the tokens to buy back the Billy token and then burn it. So it's a nice flywheel, and I think they're going to do really well. And I have a decent position in this. I bought it all on the open market, and I'm holding it until at least 20, 30 million, because there was another coin, Tracy AI, that was way worse than this and got to 30 mil. But obviously keep in mind, if the market nukes, like, this is not going to do that good either, right? Okay, let's go into memes. So memes, obviously, with his down so bad, the dog had to sell its hat. Yeah, Memes got absolutely fucking slaughtered. I don't think bidding memes ever over $1 billion makes much sense because all memes have 90% downside. Like look at Brett, literally 83% down. Look at Whiff, Jesus Christ, like 87% down. And then even Hood, for example, like got fucking slaughtered. This was a lot of just hype, 97% down. And then Griff also, right? Like you got to be careful buying some of these coins at their peaks because they all have 90% downside. So what I would rather do is buy coins like this that are, lower market cap, try and ride them into the mid 50s to 100 and then sell and then go find another top pick. That's worked well for me. Now, of course, there are exceptions to every single rule, like Trump coin, right? I bought it at 12 billion and still made money, right? Like that's fucking insane. But the narrative was different there. I thought Trump had as much mind share as Doge, and so I wanted to take profits as soon as it hit the market cap of Doge. I ended up selling before that, but there's exceptions to every single rule. What else can you do? So you can also farm DeFi.app. If you guys don't know what it is, it's basically a new app that allows you to do everything on chain, and it's basically going to be like a super app. And so the super app allows you cross-chain swaps, buy meme coins, use perps, farm, stake, all in a normie-friendly platform. You can sign up with your email address. It's going to go out at a valuation of around $500 million. 10%, so $50 million will be used for the airdrops. And in order to get points, you just do like swaps cross-chain. You try and get referrals. You can join a fraction, which is basically like a group. I made one on there. And then if your group is in the top 50, every single person in your group gets a 40% bonus. And so the whole goal is to try and get as much XP as you can. And if you get over 1 million points, in my opinion, I think you're going to do really well. And so that's going to be a big focus for us over the next few months. And I think that should be a really good way to make tens of thousands to potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on how many XP you get, as well as, if you get the bonus. And that's going to be on an individual basis, depending on how well you do. Okay, so just getting into the Bitcoin super cycle for a second. So there's a very good chance that Bitcoin goes into its own super cycle and does go to $1 million per coin over the next maybe decade or multiple decades. I don't know, but I don't really care because it's a savings account to me. Now, there's a bunch of institutional adoption. Big players like corporations, funds are buying Bitcoin, right? It's not really cyclical. There's ETFs, so there's a steady flow that reduces the volatility and swings, right? It is possible that the US is going to buy a shitload of it and it's going to be a Bitcoin-like reserve. There's already a USA stockpile. Inflation, fiat distribution, a store of value. Bitcoin is being bidded by people all around the world, right? Corporations are potentially going to start putting it on their balance sheets, right? Investors, normal traditional TradFi is going to come and add Bitcoin to their balance sheets. And so what happens when you have potentially investment advisors telling everyone to add 1% to 2% of their allocation of their net worth into Bitcoin as a store of value, right? Just 1-2%. You do that to Americans all across the world, you do that to people all across the world. Bitcoin will 100% be multi-million dollars eventually. And eventually also the market's going to mature. Bitcoin will act more like gold, and it's still a little bit frowned upon. So it's just a possibility to keep in the back of your mind if you're ever wondering, like, should I buy Bitcoin? Like even having a quarter of a Bitcoin, half a Bitcoin, one Bitcoin that you just keep in a ledger in your bank, it could be worth millions of dollars in the future, right? It's like the people that bought a home, in a shit neighborhood, and then it ended up, and then 20 years later, it's worth $1 million, and they're millionaires just from buying this dog shit piece of real estate that ended up becoming something great. Final thing that we're going to cover is just trenching. So if you're trenching right now, just be really, really careful. Pretty much everything is a scam. I've mostly stopped trenching for the immediate moment in the last couple days, right? You want to go in and find new metas that are forming and basically start learning with money that you don't care about. Start learning with fucking $5, $10, $15 per trade, and then go and use more money. Now, you want to be in and out of coins. In my opinion, I like to play with a little more size. I like to go and find coins that are like 500K market cap to like a few million, and then try and go for like a 5 to 10x from there. Other people like to snipe right on launches. Other people like to play like this 30K to 300K market cap coin. You can do whatever you want to do. I personally like to use a little more size, and then I try and buy coins that are a little bit higher market cap because I can use more size. Now, be really careful if you're copy trading people, because 99% of the time you're going to get fucking wrecked because they know you're copy trading them. They put in a trade. They wait for you to put your money in. Coin goes up. They use you as extra liquidity. So just if you're copy trading, be aware of that. That is mostly what I've wanted to cover in this video. Just keep in mind, I think the markets are a bit shaky right now. Maybe we do go lower, maybe we don't, but I think these numbers right here are numbers where you can start nibbling into positions and feel comfortable that you're getting really good entries if you look on a long-term basis. And when you're buying extreme fear, this is where you tend to get the best prices. Just remember that. And also remember that the people that made the most amount of money, right, in crypto, even if we look at like Ethereum, are the people. I remember this is right after FTX. I literally remember when it hit this price. And so think about this. The people that got the best prices were the people that bought right after here. I can only imagine the fear and greed index was probably like, even way more than it is now, right? So just be aware that, if you were buying the dip down here, which was like the most bearish point, you could have gotten basically like a 4x on Ethereum with size, which is crazy, right? And so we're not genuinely that far away. 2,300, 1,200, like 50% lower. So that is, guys, that is worst case scenario is you would buy here and lose 50% of your money. Or you reverse and you grab potentially a 2 to 4x. Like, it's just asymmetric bets. But again, it's not financial advice. I just want you to conceptually understand where I'm coming from and why I take certain bets and how I've made money from placing these bets in the future. So that is going to wrap up this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to, again, like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you want to see if you found this video valuable. And if you want to see me trade $7,000 to $1 million, then make sure to check out my Instagram, because I'm posting trades there every single day, documenting the whole process, and I'll make a video about it here